Well, hello everyone. Welcome to another video. I'm on the Mike Soapbox. I don't know what number we're on at this point. Mainly because this wasn't an intentional episode. So give you a background on what's been happening with me lately. So I lost my job around February, which was supposed to be the time where I was going to upload the initial script I wrote for the next Mike Soapbox after the purity test episode. Yeah. But after that, it ended up being to where Corona became a bigger threat than we thought, and a full-on pandemic. And yeah, depression hit really, really hard around late March. And I wrote this script as a means to talk about the left again, because I am a leftist at heart, about the left or whatever, and the feelings I was having around the time it was just Bernie and Biden. And so it's a little dated in that sense because I bring it up. I'm going straight from the script, by the way. But it's dated in that sense, but at the same time, it's still contemporary given what we have going on later on this year, even with the pandemic potentially still being a thing. But I also want to have this, the main point of this preamble is to have a disclaimer. The disclaimer being that, in recent light of Biden's sexual misconduct allegations, this is not an endorsement in that type of sense, and it's not telling you who to vote for. It's more so a precautionary tale about the future in regards to how we react to certain political situations and how we should go moving forward. Less about saying who to vote for, and you may get tinges of that here and there. That's pretty much it, but that's not the main purpose of this soapbox. It's mainly just to talk about my feelings during this time of political unrest and unease, given the multiple amount of situations from all the sides. And I hate being an all sides kind of guy because that's really an irritating sense of place, but in this case it really does apply. Overreaction isn't a term I hear too often when it pertains to societal change within the sphere of social media. We're often too focused on progress that we don't understand why the collective of individuals don't move with us. Individuals shocked at the breakneck speeds of ideas that go well past their own understanding. Individuals at first mostly concerned about their own well-being, how it affects them and theirs, despite theoretically being beneficial to them. This past primary election period has taught me something about progress, and it has me saying that Obama was right. If you don't know what I'm referring to a lecture or some conference that Obama was at, where he talked about the progressive left and how they're probably moving in the wrong direction. And I'm inclined to agree. See, this was supposed to be a video about individualism and collectivism, and it still is. But what I'm also realizing is that binary of collectivism and individualism is getting in the way of the progress and the nuance that I so dearly strive for. Seeing Trump in 2016 get elected was probably the most devastating thing to see in my lifetime because unlike the re-election with Bush, I could better take it in. The individual in me feared for the collective. I feared the potential harm this one person voted in by the same system that voted in people like him can do. Seeing the rise of jigonistic and xenophobic attitudes that admittedly were always there, but kept underneath so the visage of progress always seemed possible. Voted in by collective individuals who felt the need to make America great again after a mixed race man of African descent ran the office of president for 8 years. So initially I had this idea for a group of videos called the We're All in This Together series, including the purity test video. It was supposed to position the collective in a way that we were a lot more empathetic to a degree to people's plight, situations, and experiences to make this all a little bit better going forward. And I feel like as a member of the collective known as the left, I failed. With Biden's nomination, well, now being the case, I felt like I finally realized that the country was moderate. And to be honest, most of the world is moderate. And I, the individual, honestly wasn't empathetic enough to the collective to understand that was the case. Too interested in correcting the mistakes of 2016 that I did not think of anybody else but simply correcting those mistakes. I was more concerned about us so to speak, than I was about what people actually felt like they needed. And it got me to thinking that form of overcorrection tends to halt progress. Any gains that you may have made in the meantime are completely erased or either not acknowledged, which can make everything worse. And what I go back to is my feelings on the word revolution and how it's been pushed, and how I think personally that it's morally irresponsible to push it in that manner. It's nice on paper, but very by any means necessary. A bullheaded way to promote change that is often unsuccessful. And it's usually an easy way for corruption to weasel away through any well-meaning causes that ignores the plight of the many in guise of the many. Another group of individuals making decisions for the other, often without their consent. Often done for the sake of ego with the appearance of selflessness. I'm just doing this for you. So the initial thesis of this video was to take Aristotle's golden mean theory and try to break it down between collectivism and individualism. I was going to explain how there were two sides of the same coin, and that for us to move forward, we must find that proper sticking point, that middling point that allows for both to be explored. What I didn't realize was how complicated this process is, and that us, the collective, will tend to overcorrect on any perceived slights and not get anywhere in the process. The sliding scale is a little bit more fluid than I thought it would be, and thus lies my conundrum. I, the individual, is thinking for the collective, who thinks for me, and we're both failing. As a minority, it's really hard for me to parse all of this and remain optimistic. The cyclical nature of all this is mind-boggling, and I know most of this is going to come off as philosophical rambling, but it has a point. I think we need to readjust our expectations on progress. Stop seeing progress as a blunt instrument, but as actual progress, as incremental and as frustrating as it is. It's not something that can be forced, but only something that can be gained through diligence and hard work. Picking out precisely what the issues are, but not overcorrecting as to cause a stall. Honestly, all progress is being willing to slide backwards but learn from it. And I feel like the only way to progress in this situation is to constantly be willing to understand that we are a collective of individuals. And that's never going to change.